The county gets ready to take a big leap forward in COVID vaccinations. Who's eligible to make an appointment starting this weekend?
2 years after first learning of a toddler's death in foster care, Team 10 uncovers new documents outlining the child's last days.
The new Secretary of Defense visits San Diego and tours 2 aircraft carriers. His message to sailors about the stress of long deployments.
ABC 10 News at 6 starts now.
500,000 more San Diegans will be eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine in just days. Farmers, grocery store and restaurant workers, and teachers can all start getting their shots. Good afternoon. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. It will still take a few weeks before everyone can make an appointment, but our ABC 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala shows us why some business owners think we've reached a major turning point.
Very excited. This is exactly what we're waiting for.
Starting Saturday, San Diego County will open COVID-19 vaccinations to new essential worker categories, including emergency services like police officers, child care and education, and food and agriculture. The county says about 500,000 San Diegans will be eligible and can start booking appointments now, but patience is key as this is expected to take some time.
It's been very encouraging to watch the daily numbers drop the way they have.
Sean Hale is the general manager for El Cruce 241 in Chula Vista. The restaurant opened in October during this pandemic, a challenging time.
Having to move all your operations outdoors, and I think people are still just avoiding being out until it really is safer.
He's thrilled that he and other team members will be eligible to get the vaccine soon. According to the county, law enforcement vaccinations will be organized by Scripps Health. CAL FIRE will take the lead in scheduling remote vaccination events like for farm workers. All others eligible, like restaurant workers, can sign up for appointments at vaccinationssuperstationsd.com. As for education, 20% of the vaccines will be set aside for transitional kindergarten through 12th grade teachers and staff. They'll be vaccinated through a program by the San Diego County Office of Education and California Schools Voluntary Employees Benefits Association, or VEBA. Having more people vaccinated could be the start to getting things back on track and for some small businesses to start recovering.
We need people to feel safe when they're coming out so that we can start seeing more people coming back to restaurants.
Mimi Alcala, ABC 10 News.
And coming up at 7, we're going to look at how they're planning to get the vaccine to San Diego's teachers. And we know there are a lot of questions and different experiences with the vaccine, so our ABC 10 News in-depth team is committed to tracking down answers and sharing your stories. Just send us an email to tips@10news.com.
San Diego County reported about 500 new COVID cases today. That amounts to 3% of all tests given yesterday. Those numbers have helped drive our 14-day rolling average below 4.5%. Tonight, the county says 30 more people have died, more than 3,200 since the pandemic began. And county leaders want Governor Newsom to allow fans at Petco Park on opening day. Spring training is underway in Arizona, and the regular season is set to start on April 1st. Today, County Supervisor Jim Desmond sent a letter to the governor saying that other states have shown it's safe to allow fans at sporting events. Public health experts have pointed to studies that have shown spikes in COVID cases after major sporting events. Board Chair Nathan Fletcher tells ABC 10 News he's been talking with the governor and is hopeful that some fans will be allowed.
New documents uncovered by Team 10 outline the last days of a toddler who died in foster care. Our Team 10 investigator Adam Rakusan's been following this story of Tyler Walter for the past 2 years. He took the county to court to get answers about what happened.
It's February 25th, 2021. Tyler James Walter should be 4 years and 3 months old. Instead of playing with his friends at the park, he died at this park in Long Beach at only 22 months old.
And the victim here was a baby, and the price he paid was his life.
Sean McMillan is an attorney for Tyler's mom. She sued the county of San Diego and several social workers claiming wrongful death and failure to provide minimally adequate care and ensure his continued safety, among other things. The lawsuit asks for no less than $5 million for the loss of her son. Her lawsuit claims it took just 3 months in San Diego County's care for Tyler to turn from a happy and healthy toddler into a dead one.
It's really the government's complete and total failure to do what they were supposed to do for this child.
San Diego County won't comment on the claim, saying there's an active lawsuit. In their response to the court, the county wrote in part, the 14th Amendment does not guarantee that individuals in the county's care be constitutionally protected from all harm sustained while under their care.
Yeah.
Team 10 uncovered the toddler's death back in 2018. Since then, the county has not commented on any of the facts surrounding his death. So, to try to get to the bottom of what happened, in February of 2020, Team 10 took the county to court, asking they release all of the child's court and social worker files. A judge agreed, and we got around 700 pages of documents. Here's what they showed. In June of 2018, Tyler was taken away from his mother after a search of her house uncovered drugs. She was arrested. Tyler was placed in protective custody, and social workers petitioned the juvenile court to begin dependency proceedings. About a month later, Tyler was placed with his mother's 19-year-old relative, who lived in Long Beach, a move child advocate experts have questioned.
You favor relatives. Statutorily, we want to favor relatives, and we do. But usually we're talking about grandparents or uncles or aunts or sisters or brothers.
We're not naming Tyler's foster parent because she hasn't been accused of anything. Court records say, although Tyler's mother requested he be left with his grandmother, social workers placed him in protective custody. With Tyler's grandmother not given the placement, court records say his mother told social workers she'd like Tyler to be placed with her relative. She said that she does worry she's young, but believes she'll provide good care for Tyler. The court records show an emergency placement was approved, and a few days later, Tyler was in Long Beach. That was at the end of July. The records don't go into detail about how the court ultimately made its decision to okay a placement with a teenager, but do show there's clear and convincing evidence the child should be removed from the custody of the mother, and the court finds there is a relative who is able and willing to care for the child. According to the social worker records provided to Team 10, staff made announced visits to the foster home and kept in telephone contact with the approved foster parent. In the 2 weeks leading up to his death, the documents show visits to the doctor and issues with Tyler's health insurance. Then, the day before Tyler died, information shows a social worker was at the house in Long Beach for an announced visit. The social worker noticed a small dime-sized bruise on his left cheekbone, as well as a small scrape next to the bruise. Tyler's caregiver explained he'd been pushed off of a tricycle by some other kids at the house. They talked about other things, toured the house, nothing seemed off, and that was the end of the visit. The next day, Tyler died, 2 months after moving to Long Beach. An autopsy said the cause of death was blunt head trauma, but the manner of death was undetermined.
Looking over the documents that you shared with me, frankly, it raises more questions and important questions than it actually answers.
Team 10 shared about 200 pages of the documents we received with Jessica Heldman. She's a professor in residence in child's rights at the University of San Diego.
It seems like requirements for visits were met by the San Diego County workers, but there's still questions about, whether, given some of the considerations about the caregiver, her age, and so on, whether additional visits might have been valuable.
Here's something the records show. After Tyler died, police discovered his foster parent had not been living at the pre-approved home. She and her girlfriend had a falling out with the homeowner and were asked to leave. That happened a few days before the final social worker visit. There's also questions about Los Angeles County's role. Experts say state law requires if a child is placed in another county, that county needs to know about it. The two counties will decide who will be responsible for care, assessments, and monitoring moving forward. Records show LA County was notified a child from San Diego County would be placed in LA County. Based on the court documents Team 10 received, it's unclear what communication the two counties had in the months after his placement. Team 10 asked LA County for more information, but a spokesperson for the Department of Child and Family Services said confidentiality laws prohibit them from providing case-specific information. So, while there's hundreds of pages of paper that give a snapshot into Tyler's mom, her family, and the early parts of his life, what led to his death, there's no easy answer. Adam Merkusen, ABC 10 News.
The county tried to get that lawsuit filed against them thrown out. A judge said it could move forward. The county appealed that decision and are waiting to hear from the appeals court.
President Biden's Secretary of Defense, General Lloyd Austin, toured two San Diego aircraft carriers today. He landed aboard the USS Essex and the USS Nimitz. He talked to sailors about the stress of long deployments.
I had two of those 18-month deployments, And I understand the stress that can place on families. So as secretary, what I want to do is make sure that, number one, going forward, we do everything we can to minimize that kind of stress, that we do what's necessary to take care of our equipment, but most importantly, our people, our families.
General Austin has been getting a look at military operations in Southern California this week. Yesterday, he toured a COVID vaccination site in LA where service members are helping to administer doses.